Before you listen to tonight's stories, remember this. Campers disappear every single year in places you've probably visited, and most of their cases are never solved. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. These are real encounters from real people who thought camping was safe until something found them. Turn your lights off if you dare. I don't really tell this story much because it still messes with my head. But since it happened, I haven't gone camping again. This took place in Arkansas, near Lake Ouachita, back in 2019. I was 29 at the time, and I thought camping alone would clear my mind. Looking back, I should have listened to the little voice telling me to go home. I got to the campsite late in the afternoon. The lake looked calm, the trees were quiet, and there were only two other campers a little ways down. I set up my tent, cooked a small dinner, and watched the sun go down. Everything felt peaceful at first. Too peaceful. When it got dark, a weird cold came in. The weather app said it was supposed to be 60 degrees, but it felt way colder. I sat outside my tent for a bit and listened to the forest. Usually, you'll hear bugs, birds, something. But that night, there was nothing, just complete silence. I don't mean it was quiet. I mean it sounded like the whole forest was holding its breath. Around 10 p.m., I finally crawled into my tent. I zipped myself inside my sleeping bag and tried to relax. Maybe an hour later, I heard something move outside. It sounded slow, like it only took a step every 10 seconds. At first, I thought it was a deer, but the steps were heavy, too heavy. They stopped right outside my tent. I froze. I didn't want to breathe too loud. Whatever it was, it just stood there for at least a full minute. I could see the shape through the tent fabric. It was tall, way taller than me, maybe 7 feet. Then I heard it inhale, long and shaky like it was sniffing. I whispered, "Hello?" I don't know why I said something. I guess I just wanted to believe it was a person, but it didn't answer. It only breathed deeper. I grabbed the small flashlight I had next to my bag and clicked it on, pointing it at the tent wall. The shadow didn't move, but when the light hit it, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The outline of its head wasn't shaped right. The top was normal, like a human skull, but the bottom half looked broken, bent sideways, like its jaw was hanging off. I shut the light off instantly. After a few more seconds, the thing walked away, moving back into the woods. Its footsteps were uneven, dragging, like it didn't know how to use its legs. I should have packed up right then and left, but I told myself if I stayed in the tent and didn't make noise, it would leave me alone. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to something brushing against the side of the tent. Slow, scraping strokes, back and forth. And then a whisper, not a voice, more like air being pushed through broken teeth. I felt sick. I could smell it now, this horrible, rotten stink that leaked through the fabric. It smelled like wet meat left in the sun, like something dead. I didn't move at all. I felt tears rolling down my face, but I kept quiet. Then everything stopped again. Silence. I must have passed out eventually because the next thing I remember is waking up to daylight. The first thing I did was zip the tent open and check around, and that's when I saw them. Footprints. Huge, misshapen footprints circling my tent. Some were deep in the soil like the thing had crouched down. But the worst part was the blood smeared on the ground. A long streak of it, leading toward the tree line. I followed it only a few feet until I saw what was lying behind a fallen log. One of the campers from down the trail. He was dead. His chest was ripped open in a way that didn't look like an animal attack. More like something had grabbed him with sharp hands and pulled. His stomach was torn and empty. His face was frozen in this horrible scream, but his jaw was missing, like it had been torn clean off. I backed away fast, shaking so hard I almost fell. I ran straight to my car, but when I got in and turned on my engine, I noticed something in the rearview mirror. My tent. Something was peeking out from inside of it. Just a dark shape, but I could see its head. That broken jaw hanging low, twisted to the side. It didn't move. It just stared at me from the shadows, like it wanted to see if I'd come back. I floored it down the dirt road and didn't stop until I reached a gas station. I called 911 and told them everything. They said they'd send people out there right away, but when the police called me back later that day, they said they only found the body, not the footprints, not the blood trail, and not my tent. They said maybe I was traumatized and mixed up the details, but I know what I saw. Something was out there, something not human, and it followed that dead camper back to my site. Maybe it thought I was next. Every once in a while, I still dream about that shadow in my tent, the way it leaned, the way it breathed. And I swear, sometimes when I camp near my house, I hear that same slow, dragging step out in the woods, like it finally found my trail again. I never believed in ghost stories or any of that supernatural stuff until the summer of 2021. Me, my cousin Tyler, and our friend Aiden decided to camp in the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. We'd gone camping before, but never this deep in the woods. Tyler was the outdoorsy one. I just followed along because I didn't want to seem scared. We reached the campsite around 5 p.m. It wasn't an official spot, just a clearing near an old fire road. Tyler said we'd be off-grid for a night, which already made me nervous. But the place looked nice. Tall pines, soft ground, a small stream nearby. We pitched our tents, made a fire, and cooked hot dogs. It felt normal, calm. Then Aiden brought up the local legend. "You ever heard of the Whispering Man?" he asked. I laughed. "Bro, no." Tyler shook his head. "Don't start with that crap." Aiden grinned. "People say there's some dude who got lost out here in the 80s. They never found him, but hikers say they hear him whispering their names at night. He tries to lure you deeper into the woods. We made jokes about it, but something about the way the trees moved behind Aiden bothered me. Like they leaned closer when he said whispering. Around midnight, after we'd talked ourselves tired, we all got into our tents. Tyler had his own tent and me and Aiden shared one. It didn't take long before everything got quiet outside. Too quiet. I tried going to sleep, but the silence felt wrong. Like the forest was waiting for something. Then, maybe 30 minutes later, I heard footsteps. Slow, light steps moving between our tents. I whispered to Aiden, "You awake?" "Yeah," he whispered back. The steps stopped right outside our tent. I froze, thinking Tyler was messing with us. But the shadow on the tent wall wasn't Tyler's height. It was taller, much taller. Then came a whisper. At first it sounded like wind passing through broken glass. "I didn't..." Aiden sat up fast, bumping into me. "Did you hear that?" Before I could answer, the whisper came again, only louder. "Aiden, come here." It wasn't human. I don't care what anyone says. No person's voice sounds like that, like someone talking through a cracked throat. Aiden yelled out, "Tyler, stop playing!" But the shadow didn't move. It just stood there, leaning. Then, it whispered again. This time, it said my name. "Marcus." My heart stopped. I don't remember telling anyone my name except my friends. How did something in the woods know it? The shadow slowly backed away, stretching weirdly as it moved, like its arms were too long, dragging behind it. Aiden whispered, "Bro, We gotta check on Tyler. We unzipped the tent quietly and stepped out. The fire was out. The moonlight barely lit the clearing. Tyler's tent was zipped shut. I called his name. Nothing. Aiden opened the tent. Tyler wasn't inside. His sleeping bag was empty. But what we did see made Aiden gag. There were drag marks, long deep grooves in the pine needles, like someone was pulled away from the campsite. And next to it, blood. Not a lot at first, just a few drops, but the trail got thicker the farther it went. We grabbed our flashlights and followed it, whispering Tyler's name over and over. About 50 feet in, the woods opened into a small, rocky ravine. And that's where we found him, or parts of him. Tyler's lower body was lying on the ground, legs twisted wrong, pants soaked in blood. His upper body was missing, completely gone. No sound, no animal noises, just the stream running through the rocks. Aiden screamed. I covered my mouth so I wouldn't. Before we could process it, we heard something behind us, a slow shuffle, like skin dragging across leaves. When we turned around, the beam of my flashlight hit something pale, standing between two trees. It had a face. Kinda. There were two eyes, but they were just hollow black circles. No nose, no lips. Just a wide mouth hanging open like its jaw was unhinged. And it whispered, Marcus! Everything in me broke. I grabbed Aiden's arm and we ran. I don't even remember the path. Branches hit my face. Rocks cut my legs. That whisper followed us the whole time. Come back! Come back! We ran for almost an hour until we finally hit the fire road. We didn't stop until we reached the car. Aiden couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop shaking. We drove straight to the nearest ranger station and told them everything. They found blood, but they didn't find Tyler's body. They didn't find the creature either. They said it was probably a bear attack. But I know what we saw, and a bear doesn't whisper your name. For weeks after that, I kept hearing it, sometimes at night, sometimes in the shower, sometimes when I closed my eyes, always saying my name, whispering, like it wasn't done with me. And the scariest part? I went camping once last month with my girlfriend. Just a small, safe campground near the entrance of the forest. And when the wind blew that night, I swear I heard something on the breeze. Marcus! I never planned on camping alone again after what happened in Nevada last year. But back then, I didn't know I was walking straight into something I couldn't explain. Something that still follows me. Something that shouldn't exist anywhere on this planet. This happened near Red Rock Canyon, about 30 minutes from Las Vegas. I'd flown in to visit my brother who worked nights. While he was at work, I thought it'd be cool to camp under the desert sky. Everyone online said it was peaceful, empty, beautiful. Peaceful wasn't the word for it. Empty wasn't either. I got to the campsite at around 6 p.m. The sun was dropping behind the red cliffs, casting these long shadows across the sand. It looked unreal, like something from another world. I set up my tent, made a small fire, and sat back on a rock to watch the sky. Around 8 p.m., while the fire crackled, I noticed something weird. All the crickets stopped. No wind, no animal sounds, just dead silence. It felt like someone muted the desert. Then a smell hit me. Rotten meat. Dead animal mixed with sulfur. I looked around but didn't see anything. My headlamp beam hit the rocks and dirt, and everything looked normal. I thought maybe a coyote dragged something nearby and I just couldn't see it. About 20 minutes later, I heard something move behind my tent. At first, it sounded like a snake sliding over rock. Then, it sounded wetter, like something crawling with its stomach dragging. I said, "Hello? My voice echoed off the cliffs. Whatever it was went silent. I backed toward the fire, because that was the only thing giving me comfort. While I stood there listening, I heard a whisper, not a voice, more like a breath being forced out of a crushed throat. I spun around, light shaking in my hand. Nothing. Just sand and rocks. I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe the desert animals just sounded weird at night. Maybe the thin air was messing with me. I tried to sleep. Around midnight, I woke up to something tapping the outside of my tent. Slow, light taps, one at a time, like a finger or a claw. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Tap, tap, tap. Then the tapping slid across the tent wall. Something scraped its nails or bones along the fabric. When the sound reached the zipper, it stopped. Silence. And then the zipper slowly moved down an inch. Just an inch. Enough to let cold air in. Enough to show darkness. I yelled, "Hey, stop!" and grabbed the zipper and pulled it shut fast. I held it closed with both hands shaking. Something pulled back. Not hard, not violent, just slow, steady pressure. Like whatever was out there wanted to open it gently. To not scare me too early. I screamed, letting go, and the zipper snapped all the way up by itself. I grabbed my flashlight and unzipped the tent just an inch to look outside, and that's when I saw it. Something was crawling behind the fire. Not walking, crawling. Its limbs bent the wrong way, like its elbows and knees were broken. Its skin was pale gray, stretched tight over its bones. Its head hung sideways like its neck couldn't hold it straight. It moved like a puppet with its strings cut. Every drag of its body made a wet, sticky sound. I pulled my head back into the tent, zipped it fast, and curled into the corner. My heart was punching my ribs. I could hear the thing approaching, its limbs dragging. Then, the breathing started again. Right outside the tent. Something pressed its face against the tent wall because I could see the stretched outline of a mouth opening. Too wide. Wider than any human mouth. The jaw hung down so far it almost touched its chest. And then the tent ripped. Not from the zipper, from the top. A hand, if you could call it that, burst through the fabric. Skin stretched, fingers long and thin like needles. Blood from the torn skin dripped down onto my sleeping bag. The smell hit me again, and I gagged. I dove out the bottom of the tent through a rip and ran. My flashlight beam shook across the desert. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see how fast it could move. I reached my car, fumbled with the keys, and threw myself inside. When I turned on the headlights, something flashed in the beam. The creature crawling toward me, fast, not walking, dragging itself with arms bending backward like they were double-jointed. Its jaw swung loose with each lunge. Blood leaked down its chest like it had torn its own mouth open too far. I slammed the gas and tore out of there. But in the mirror, as the dust cleared, I saw it standing up. Standing, like it fixed itself. Its head tilted as it watched me drive away, and its mouth stretched into a smile. A broken, impossible smile that reached up to its ears. The next day, rangers told me nobody was out there. No tracks, no blood, nothing. They said maybe coyotes tore my tent. But tents don't rip open from the top. And coyotes don't smile. 2 months later, I was back home. Safe, sort of. One night around 3 a.m., I woke up to a smell. Sulfur. Rotten meat. And from the corner of my dark room, I heard it. Tap, 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 just like the tent. Like it found me again, like it knows I'm still scared, and it likes that. If you've ever gone camping alone or even with friends, just remember, The woods don't sleep. And sometimes things out there are watching long before you ever hear them. If you've experienced anything you can't explain, footsteps, whispers, shadows moving behind your tent, send me your story. Your nightmare might be the next one featured.